Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, in this video, me, Muazzam bin Mat Rahat, and my friend Muhammad Dzikri bin Adenan from Group 1 will discuss and analyze the issue that arises on the first quarter of 2000, at the end of the first quarter of 2021, which is the impact of the Suez Canal blockage. But first, we will look at what is Suez Canal, and we will discuss a brief introduction about Suez Canal. Alright, what is Suez Canal? Where is it, right? And what is the function or importance of the Suez Canal? So Suez Canal is an artificial sea level waterway in Egypt which connect the Mediterranean Sea above the Egypt to the Red Sea. So it opened on November 17, 1869. So after 10 years of construction, it allows ship travel from Europe to South Asia without navigating around Africa. We know that before that sailor will go around Africa, but now we have Suez Canal which reduced the time for Europe and South Africa for about 7,000 kilometers. And we know that from Mediterranean we have the side port, which is side port names, and the median of the Suez Canal is Ismailia city at the end of the Suez Canal on the Red Sea, which is the Suez city. So the canal was first built for 164 kilometers and 8 meter deeps, and then it's expanded to 193.3 kilometers long with 24 meter deeps, and then expand again to 205 meters wide, right? And then until now it's still expand until can afford for 49 to 97 ships for a day. Right, this canal is owned and maintained by the Suez Canal Authority, SCA of Egypt, under the Convention of Constantinople. Alright, next let us look what is the importance of Suez Canal to the global economy. So first, we know that Suez Canal is considered to be the shortest link between the east and the west, okay, to its unique geographical location. It is an important international navigation canal linking between the Mediterranean Sea at port side, like I said before, and the Red Sea at the Suez city. So the unique geographical position of the Suez Canal make it a special importance to the world, to the global economy, and to the Egypt as well. So this is importance is getting argumented with the evolution of maritime transport and world trade. Okay, the maritime transport is the cheapest means of transport in Suez Canal, whereas we know that more than from the United Nations data, we know that more than 80% of world trade volume is transported via waterways. So 12% of that more than 80% is from Suez Canal. So this saving in distance, time, and operating costs for vessels that transit to the canal also firm up this canal importance. Next, we know that Suez Canal is the longest canal in the world which don't have any locks. Okay, so the navigation will go day and also night, and this canal also liable to widen and deepen more when it is required. Depends on the situation to cope with the development in the ship size and also the tonnage of a ship. Alright, now we go into the rises issue, which is a giant container ship the length of 4 football pitches has become wedged across the Suez Canal, the Egypt Suez Canal, okay, blocking one of the most busiest world trade in the world. But first, let us look at the animation on how this the length of 4 football pitches ship can block the Suez Canal. Let us look first. Alright, in 23 March 2021, what happened? The Ever Given ship, which is registered in Panama and operated by the shipping company of Evergreen, okay, operated by the Taipei, the Chinese, was bound for the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands from China. So they want to go from China and go through Malaysia port, and they go through the Suez Canal in Egypt before they arrive at the Rotterdam city in the Netherlands. Alright, so what happened? The 200,000 ton ship, okay, at 400 meter long, at 59 wide, the ship has blocked the path of the vessel, which are now trapped in lines in both directions. Right? So the Evergreen Marine said that the ship was suspected of being hit by a sudden strong wind, or we can say the sandstorm, causing the hull to deviate the ship and suddenly hit the bottom and run on the ground. And this situation lead to various impact to the global economy, which will be presented by my friend Muhammad Dzikri bin Adenan. But they say that it will take several days, and after 6 days, the Ever Given ship successfully refloated and freed with help from 14 tugboats, dredger, and excavating equipment, okay, from various of country trying to help to get rid of the ship, not to get rid, but to refloat back the ship to before.
Thank you to Brother Muazzam for explaining the first part of this video presentation. Next, I, Muhammad Dzikri bin Adenan, will continue presenting for the next part, which is the impact of the Suez Canal blockage. We identified three main impacts of the blockage towards many sectors. The first one is it caused the area around the canal to be crowded with more than 400 ships. They were all waiting for the canal to be cleared. Second is regarding the international trade of goods. Reports said that the blockage held up billions of dollars worth of trade goods. And lastly, it affects the expected time arrival for the customers' items. Now, let us focus one by one of these three impacts. Okay, for the first one is more than 400 ships waiting in and around the Suez Canal. The ships were just stuck there waiting for the canal to be cleared for them to go through the canal and continue their journey to their destination. In fact, the numbers just kept growing day by day since the first day the Ever Given ship blocked the Suez Canal. This queue of ships has caused a huge loss to the cargo's owner. They need to incur more costs as long as the canal is still being blocked. Plus, there are some ships that use the alternative route for shipping while Suez Canal is being blocked, which is around Cape of Good Hope. However, this route somehow still a burden to the owners as it added 8 days to their total journey, which is clearly a big cost they need to incur. And lastly, it is still a burden to them when the canal has been cleared on 29th March. This is because it will probably take 5 to 7 days for the build-up to clear. In other words, they still need to wait for their turn to go through the canal even the canal has been cleared. The second impact is it held up billions of dollars worth of trade goods. The blockage has affected 12% of the global trade, which around 1 million barrels of oil and roughly 8% of liquefied natural gas that pass through the canal each day. The chairman of Suez Canal Authority, Osama Rabi, said that the canal's revenue were taking a $14 to $15 million hit for each day of the blockage. Plus, prior to the pandemic, trade passing through the Suez Canal contributed to 2% of Egypt's GDP. Furthermore, a report showed that the blockage has held up an estimated $9.6 billion of trade along the waterway each day. This equal to $400 million, and 3.3 million tons of cargo an hour, or $6.7 million a minute. Last but not least, the blockage has also made the cost of renting some vessels to ship cargo to and from Asia and the Middle East to increase 47% to $2.2 million. The third impact of the Suez Canal blockage is it delayed the arrival of the customer's item. This means the delay will somehow affect the arrival of some countries' import and make the production to be delayed, because the supply of the material from the other countries are not there yet. Plus, the retailers that import finished goods from other countries will also running out of inventories. So, this will create loss for them as they do not have products to sell, while still need to incur some fixed costs in their businesses. Furthermore, the exporter countries like China will also have problems regarding to the inventory. For your information, the stranded ships have also tied up empty containers with them. That means the scale of containers in the exporter's point of view will further stress the company to find containers or even spaces for their finished goods. Now, let us move to the next part, which is the recommendations for the issue of the Suez Canal blockage. Okay, for the first recommendation is to improve the safety and risk management of the vessel like ever given. This is because dealing with large ships are now becoming more complex and expensive. Insurers have been warning for many years that the increasing size of vessels is leading to a higher accumulation of risk. The insurers have mentioned before that they have nothing against ships getting bigger, but all the additional aspects that come with this increase in size need to be considered also. For many years, the regulations have not kept pace with the growth of ships. These fears are now being realized, potentially offsetting long-term improvement in safety and risk management. In other words, apart from generating economies of scale for the ship's owner, they also need to incur greater costs when things go wrong, like what happened to the Ever Given ships. Therefore, it is recommended for them to improve their safety and risk management of the ships. The next recommendation is to put additional restrictions by the Canal Authority or even the owners of the ships. The first example of restrictions is for the mega ships. The Canal Authority can restrict them from entering the canal on certain weather conditions. For example, is when there is a storm weather. This can somehow avoid such things that make Ever Given tragedy happening again and again in the future. Next is regarding the equipment. The ships should have firefighting equipment into its design to tackle most on-board fires themselves. This is because fires on the ships are now a regular occurrence, and such incidents can be one of the reasons that the ship may lose its control and unfortunately block the canal. The last example of additional restriction for this presentation is to have preventive action. The Canal Authority should have special tasks that can be accessed in relatively short time. Thus, if something similar happens, they can solve it and refloat the ships in a shorter time, and perhaps will reduce the impacts towards the economy. The last recommendation from us is related to innovation. The innovation on the mega ships is highly encouraged to help tackle this issue in the future. The company need to invest more on the research and development on how to create a ship that can perhaps easily refloat when this tragedy happen again in the future. This innovation needs to collaborate with the usage of higher technology so that the dreams of making a sophisticated ship will come true in the future. As a conclusion, I took a quote from Joe Reynolds, chief engineer of the Mass Ohio. He said that as sellers, we complain a lot about things, but we also understand when other sellers are in a fix or other seamen are working really hard day and night to try to correct a situation. We've all been there. This means everything happened with a reason. We do not need to quarrel among countries to show who is wrong and who need to bear the losses, as everything can be settled in a peaceful way. Plus, the real reason of this tragedy is still being investigated, so there is no point for us to argue. Lastly, we hope that the countries affected by the Suez Canal blockage to recover the impacts as soon as possible, and the Suez Canal Authority can take this tragedy as a lesson so that this such thing will never happen again in the future. That is all from us. Thank you for lending your ears. All questions are welcome.